So, Eragon. Aragon. First of the Inheritance trilogy. A mighty kingdom that's not part of our world was once ruled beneficently by a group of ancient knights who were eventually overthrown by one of their own who put himself in charge. A group of various races band together to form a resistance against him, but he manages to capture a very important member of their organization. Many years later, a simple farm boy who lives with his uncle because he doesn't know who his parents are discovers that he has the potential to become one of these elite protectors of old, and a hermit who lives near him happens to be the last of this order and offers to train him and gives him a brightly colored sword. Unfortunately, the evil ruler gets wind of this and sends his agents to destroy the boy. Because they can't find him, they settle for killing his uncle and burning down his house. Swearing revenge, the young hero accepts the old man's offer to train him. Unfortunately, before said training could be completed, his new mentor is forced to sacrifice himself to save him. The lad then meets up with a rugged scoundrel who's not really interested in anything but his own well-being and who's unwilling to get involved in the current conflict. Shortly later, the boy manages to get himself grabbed by the enemy and is taken by pure happenstance to the same place as the captured resistance bigwig, and he takes her with him when he escapes. The whole group then goes to join the rebellion, inadvertently leading the evil ruler's armies right to them, who then turn up to destroy them all. His scoundrel friend eventually changes his mind and decides to help out after all, and in the ensuing battle, the boy manages to make a 1 in a million strike and defeats his opponent. And to think, people said The Force Awakens borrowed heavily from A New Hope. Seriously, this is blatant and unashamed wholesale rip-off of the entire plot to Star Wars! This is the book equivalent of a student downloading an essay off the internet and thinking that using the word replacement tool will be enough to fool his teacher. Maybe I'm being a little unfair. There is a lot of stuff in the book that's not just rehashing the works of George Lucas. Unfortunately, it's boring padding. Okay, no, I'm sorry. This was meant to be a beginner's guide, and I've turned it into a negative review of the book. Let me try again. The Inheritance trilogy is set in the fictional land of Allegasia. This land was originally only populated underground by dwarves and in the sky by dragons, but elves and then later humans eventually immigrated from a now forgotten land across a vast sea. Dragons were at first mistaken for animals, but are actually much smarter than any of the other races and capable of advanced use of magic. Elves are the next most powerful, being faster, smarter, stronger, and more proficient at magic than any of the other races. The dwarven people seem content to just live underground and keep themselves to themselves mostly. And lastly, you have the humans, the shortest lived, slowest, and dumbest of all the races. There were some unfortunate misunderstandings in the early days that led to a war between the elves and the dragons, but it was eventually sorted out, and it turned out elves and some of the humans could bond with certain dragons at birth and become dragon riders, people connected emotionally, psychically, and magically with their dragon. This link allows them to share great magical strength, making them all powerful magic users and extending their lifespans by centuries. The riders eventually rose to power and took it upon themselves to police the world with a fair and even hand, abolishing such things as slavery and stopping all wars before they even start. Unfortunately, one young rider named Galvatorix eventually fell to the dark side. I mean, he went mad due to the tragic and unexpected death of his dragon brought about by his own arrogance and foolishness. He ended up killing all the other riders and appointing himself king. A resistant movement named the Varden started trying to oppose him, but they met with limited success, and even that was due mostly to their alliance with the dwarfs who gave them safe harbor in their underground cities and the elves who supplied them with weapons and food. Skip ahead a few hundred years and Galvatorix is still in charge. All the dragons are dead except for his new one, and he has the last 3 eggs in existence hidden away. In one of their only victories in decades, the Varden managed to steal one, but it won't hatch, dragons having the ability to stay in their eggs indefinitely until they sense the presence of someone they can bond with as a rider. Another few decades later, a group of elves led by a female called Arya are transporting their egg across country and are ambushed by a shade, a human whose body has been taken over by dark spirits, making him an almost immortal instrument of evil. To stop it from being taken by the enemy, the elf teleports it away to somewhere she hopes is near a man called Brom, the last of the dragon riders. The egg is instead discovered by a young man named Eragon. Eragon has a mysterious past, having been left with his uncle as a baby by his mother who then disappeared. The identity of his father is currently unknown. The egg hatches while in his care, and after his initial shock wears off, he looks after the baby dragon, who surprises him by growing at a phenomenal rate and starting to talk to him inside his mind. He finds out she's a girl, so names her Saphira. Agents of Galvatorix turn up, and not being able to find him, kill his uncle instead. Aragon teams up with Brom to try and follow them and get revenge. The next 2/3 of the book is them traveling across the land, completely failing to catch up with their prey until the tables are turned on them and Brom is killed. Pretty much immediately after this, Aragon meets up with Murtagh, the son of one of the king's closest allies, trying to escape the Psychotic ruler and live a life free of evil. When Aragon is captured, he happens to see Arya a few times and takes a real fancy to her, so he insists that when he's rescued by Murtagh and Saphira, they take her with them. The 4 of them then head to the dwarven cities to meet the Varden, regretfully leading an army of Urgles right to their doorstep. Urgles being this world's version of orcs, pretty much. There's a battle and Aragon kills the Shade by stabbing the fucker through the heart. start. The book ends with him being contacted inside his mind and told to seek out an ancient powerful wizard to continue his training, and I'm sorry I can't let Star Wars go, but clearly the author can't either. For fairness' sake, I should probably mention that I don't actually consider this a bad book as such. Even the most powerful application of optimism cannot make the story or setting seem original in any way, but when I was actually reading it, I wasn't having a bad time at all. It wasn't till after I'd already finished and I'd started thinking about all the connections to other stories that it started to retroactively piss me off. To the author's credit though, he isn't bad at setting tone, describing things well, and he builds a damn good climax. He's also one of the few people whose works I've read who seems to understand that the calm before a battle can be just as traumatizing as the battle itself. I'm willing to go as far as to not actively warn you off reading this book, but I'm sure as fuck not going to put any seal of approval on it. It's entirely up to you if you want to read it, and it's entirely up to you if you like it or not. Go forth and spread the word, my children.